So right now I'm on the way to work and I'm taking Ringo home. Ringo, say hey to everyone. Hey Ringo. Ringo was my first dog, but he's my aunt's dog. We used to just take care of him, but right now he stayed with us last night and now he needs to go home. Is that right? That's right, he wants to go home. So I'll be back with you guys in a few. So I'm in the warehouse right now on my lunch break. I just want to talk to everybody about things that are on my mind. But one thing I want to talk about right now is patience, and how patience will ultimately make you successful. But that's patience. You have to wait on things and wait on deals that you want to make with other people or other companies, or moves you want to make, money moves, but you wanna be patient. At first I wasn't patient. I always wanted to get things done right away, right then and there, and I didn't want to wait. But as soon as I started being patient, I saw that I was able to plan more and I was able to execute a lot more efficiently and properly, and I was able to become successful in that way. And that was patience. That's why I was able to do the things that I wanted to do, because I would plan things out. And for instance, I was working with the Predators on a video, and that took around a couple months to make. And when the video went out, I saw that the powerful video really touched others, but it wouldn't have been great. It wouldn't have been a great video if we wouldn't have been patient and planned, because it took around 2 weeks to even come up with the script for the video. And then after that, we had to go with improv after we saw some of the things that we had to do for the video. So it's about planning and knowing what you need to do in order to be successful. And when we were patient, we were able to play our cards right. And I mean, I love making videos, but sometimes I need to be patient and let my beard grow, because my facial recognition to people is important. And when you make a video, it's important to have those features shown. So whenever I shave my beard, I let it grow for a few days before I get back on a video, because I know it's important to show that I have my facial hair and that people can recognize me because of that. So being patient in that sense also works as well. And I'm just going to give you more examples and tell more stories. And when I was back in high school, I wasn't patient. When I was in college, I wasn't patient. Now, I'm kind of more patient. But it took me time to learn that patience is the reason why that my father's been successful with his business. He's taken over 34 years to get to where he is today, but that wouldn't have happened in 1 or 2 years. It's taken 34 years to get to where he is now. And to me, that's patience, and that's a lot of hard work. So for me, being 23, I'm not even touching the surface yet, and I really want to be successful and be bigger and better than him. But the thing is, it's going to take time. I have to be patient. So my father has really taught me how patience really ultimately makes you successful. And one thing that he talks about a lot to me is planning. So I guess planning will be the next section. Planning, planning, planning. If you don't plan, you won't succeed. And that's something that I learned, because I used to never plan. I used to never carry my calendar around or use a calendar on my phone. But as soon as I started planning, I was able to stay organized. I was able to get my work done a lot quicker and a lot more efficiently. So when you're planning things such as an event or such as a video or even meetings, you're able to keep track of those. And when you're able to plan, you're able to execute. And for an example, when I was making a video one time for the holidays, it took me around a week to make a 15-second clip. And the reason why that video was successful is because it took around a week of planning. If I were to just go out and make the video, it wouldn't have got as many views as it did. But since I put in the time and I planned and I executed properly, I was able to make that video successful. And planning took me around a week to make that video, and I was going from store to store picking up different kind of products, such as costumes, such as Christmas gear, as just anything that had to do with the video. But small little details really made the video a lot better. So when I was planning to make the video, it took me around 10 to 15 different cuts of it to really come up with what I really wanted to do. So it's really planning and strategizing what you want to do and how you want to execute it, and seeing how that really corresponds to your target market or your audience. And that's really important, because when you're making any content, you want to ultimately drive sales. And that's honestly the most important thing, and you have to plan carefully and execute properly in order to get those sales. So planning is the first step to being successful. You need a plan in order to get the things that you want out to the world and create that amazing content that you want to build. So for me, it was the planning that really helped me on most videos that I make in order to be successful. As a lot of people might think that it might just come to me, it really doesn't. Sometimes it does. Sometimes I'll go out there and make a couple videos in one day, and voila, there's a great video. But the ones that really impact a lot of people and have a lot of meaning to it are the ones that I plan. Communication. How am I communicating with you? Through video. You know how I communicate with the people that I work with? Through my phone. I text them, I email them, I call them. And these days, communication is really key to succeeding. If you want to execute anything properly, you need to communicate properly. So what I really like to do that most people don't like to do these days is call. Call. It gets things a lot done quicker. I like calling people because I don't get my message out through text. A lot of people might not be able to express themselves through text message. Some people like using Snapchat or Instagram direct message to get their point across. That way you're able to show the other person or the other people that how you're really feeling, and showing a facial expression or showing your body language really helps express how you feel or expresses how you want to communicate to those people. And to me, video content is very important to show people how I really feel and how I want to communicate with people. I use my hands a lot, and that's how I communicate. And you're able to see that through video, and even though you're not able to see that through the phone, you're able to hear the other person and talk to them and converse. And that's why communication is so important. And to me, I used to not like replying to texts or calls, but that's the way things get done. If you want to make a video with somebody, or if you want to meet up with someone and you don't want to text them, just call them. Pick up your phone and call that person, because if they don't pick up, you can leave a message. If they don't pick up, you can leave them a text. There's so many different things, but if you call them instead of texting them, you can get your work done a lot quicker, and you can be more efficient. And that's why I love texting, but calling to me makes a huge difference. It's more personal. You get to hear the other side. You get to converse back and forth. And that's why communication in business is really important. You want to be able to communicate with your coworkers and your bosses and let them know what you're doing, and go back and forth and see how can you change the things that you're doing to make them better. And when you're communicating, people might not agree with what you say. And that's okay, because in communication, you're able to converse and go back and forth and really strategize on what you want to do and how you want to execute the things that you are doing. So for me, communication has really helped me in business stay on top and be organized and get the things that I want to do done a lot quicker. But it takes patience, as I said before. So one question that a lot of people ask me is, how do you brand yourself? And that's something that I had to learn for myself, and that a lot of people can learn on themselves as well. And branding yourself, you truly have to find yourself. You have to find out what you like, who you don't like, or what you don't like, because when you find out what you don't like, you find out what you do like. And for me, I studied abroad in Israel for a year, and I found a lot of things that I didn't like. I met a lot of people that I didn't like, but that helped me find what I do like, and that helped me brand myself to the people that I want to reach out to. And at first, I started branding myself on social media. I started branding on Instagram. I used to post things about myself, and I branded myself as a Drake lookalike. And when I did that, people that followed Drake used to follow me. And that's the way I was branding myself at first. And a lot of people were liking that kind of content that I was putting out. So when you're branding yourself, you have to find out what other people like about you first before you even post content. And when you are branding yourself, you have to put out that certain image that, you know, is really branding yourself and shows this is who you are and this is what you're about. It's just like a company has their mission statement. What is your mission statement? What do you want people to know about you? How do you want people to perceive you? And when you're branding yourself, it's all about putting your content out and showing others who you are. And it's about finding those people, because branding isn't just going to come to you. You're not just going to get all the followers and all the views that you want. You have to put yourself out there. And that's something that people don't really work on and try to do, is putting themselves out there. And even though if you're shy, I'm a pretty shy guy, but when I really want something, I'll go get it. And when you're branding yourself, you can't be afraid to go out and into a crowd and be like, hey, my name's Josh, follow me on Instagram. Stuff like that. It's those small little things that really make a big difference, because you can make one connection and that can open the door to so many more. So when I'm branding myself, I'm also branding other companies. I'm sharing other companies as my own. So when people meet me, I introduce myself as Josh, and I work for Electronic Express, or I work for Josh Yaz Art. I even say that I brand myself as Yaz Apparel, which is my clothing line. So there's so many different ways you can brand yourself to total different markets. And the way I do that is through different social media platforms and different Instagrams, because I have over 20, 30, 40 Instagrams, but the ones that I really focus on, I brand myself in such a specific way that I gain more followers, I gain more views, and the content that I'm creating is based on the branding that I want for those pages. So for instance, branding myself on Persian Drizzy, which is my Instagram handle, I promote myself as a hip-hop liking kind of guy. I like hip-hop, I like Drake, I post that kind of content, and my followers are more likely to like those photos because that's what they want to see when they see that page posting. But when I'm on Yaz Apparel, it's a totally different content that I'm posting and the way I'm branding myself or the company. So when you're branding yourself or another company, you have to really choose your content specifically towards that audience, and you have to build that content, and building that content takes time. As I said, patience. You have to create that content, and then you have to brand yourself through that content and continually brand yourself. And the next section is going to be on perception. How do people perceive you? How do people perceive your brand? And you have to use that perception to usually trick the customer and trick those people into thinking that you are that person, or that company is doing what they're doing and they're bigger than they are. So it's about perception. How big do you want to make yourself look, and how are you going to make yourself look like that through social media? So building that content is really important, and that's why this next section is going to be on perception. Perception. How do you want to be perceived? How do you want other people to think of you? And what do you want other people to think about the brands that you work for, and how are you branding yourself? So perception is really important when you're working for a company or other people and trying to brand yourself. For me, the perception I want to give off is that I'm a nice guy and I love helping people, and that's something that I promote. And when you create content, that's what people are going to perceive you as the content that you post. It's not always what other people say about you, it's what you put out. And that to me is really important. If you want people to perceive you as a respectful person, post things about you giving back, doing nice things for the community. But if you want people to perceive you as somebody who doesn't really respect themselves, and they post things that are kind of provocative on social media, that's how people are going to perceive you, and that's the way people are going to think about you when they see a picture or even when they meet you. But whatever you post on social media, people will think about you in that certain way. So whatever you post, the content that you post on social media is really important on the way you want people to perceive you. I want people to perceive me as a respectable man. That's why I wear a suit every day. And I want to look nice. I want people to perceive me as somebody who wants to help others and teach others. And that's some things that people struggle on finding and struggle on posting that kind of content, because they don't know how to perceive themselves as a person as well. And that takes time. I still don't know how I really want to perceive myself on all social media platforms, but I do know how I want to perceive myself in a general way to other people. I want people to think about how they want to be perceived. Just think about it right now. Like, really, how do you want to be perceived by others? Or how do you want others to perceive your brand? And that's something that I've had to work on, working with a couple brands myself. I worked in the clothing industry with the As Apparel, which is a clothing line that I started back in college. And how did I want people to perceive that clothing brand? And the clothing brand is, for every item sold, we donate an article of clothing to those that are less fortunate. And that's the way I want people to perceive that brand, and that it's giving back, and that it's a cool brand that's made for college students, and it's streetwear. It's something fun that you could wear, you could go out and have a great time in, and you also know that you're giving back to the community as well. So that's the way I want people to perceive that company. But working for Electronic Express, I want them to perceive Electronic Express as a proper company, that people want to go buy from them, that people respect that brand, because I want to dress properly and look nice to represent that company. So the perspective that you want to give other people is the content that you put out. So if you're putting out nasty content, that's the way people are going to perceive you. But if you're putting out positive and nice content, talking about others and giving back to others, that's the way people are going to perceive you. So perception is really important when you're branding yourself and working for other companies. So perception for me has really shaped the way I post content. And when I post content, I really think about, how do I want people to perceive me? And when I post this, what are people going to think? What are people going to say? What are people going to talk about when they see me? What are they going to think about when they meet me or see that brand or go to a store? So that's perception. How do you want people to perceive you? And that, to me, is the most important thing. One thing I want to talk about is repetition, and how repetition will make you successful. Whether it's video content, pictures, or anything that you do, repetition in practice or in games will really help you be successful. And you know why? It's because brain memory. People will remember. You will remember. When you repeat things to other people, or you repeat things in practice, it's that muscle memory that will help you in the future. And that's why when I post video content, I don't just post it once. I don't just post it twice. I post it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 M's in my bank account. Well, no, I post it so many different times because I want people to remember. The repetition really helps. And, you know, when I post something, I make sure that it's content that it's not too long, it's quick to remember, and it's easy to remember. Because I don't want to put things out that are long and dragging out, because it'll lose people's attention. But if you're putting up content that's 15 to 30 seconds long, you can repeat that to people over and over again, and you won't lose their focus. But when they see it, they'll remember, because they saw it once, and they saw it again, and they maybe saw it a third time. Because when I ask people, how do you remember things? And they go, I don't know. I see it. And I go, that's right. When my uncle asked me, why do you remember all these companies' videos? And I go, because I've seen them like 4 or 5 times. He goes, there. That's repetition. When you're repeating things to people over and over again, they'll start to remember it. And that's why large corporations are pushing video content or pictures and ads to you constantly, but they're not different. They're the same ad, because when you see them once, you might remember it. You see them twice, you'll probably remember it. You see it 3, 4, 5, 6 times, No brainer. When you see that, you'll remember it. And whenever I see a Geico commercial, I literally say the same things that they're saying in the commercial because I've heard it so many times. I've seen it so many times. And that's why these companies are so successful. But those companies have so much money that they can repeat their ads to you so many different times. But when you're on a level like I am, I have to repetitively kind of annoy people, but really put myself out there in such a way that I can repeat myself in a short amount of time to where people can remember me. And that's the content that you need to create. You need to create small, short, easy content for people to remember, so when you repeat it to them, they'll remember it a lot more quicker, and they'll enjoy the content that you're posting. Because if you're posting long and dragging out things, people won't remember it and they'll probably skip over it. So repetition for me has made me successful in so many different ways, whether it's an ad, whether it's wearing something multiple different times to where people can remember it. So, or even saying things multiple times, like, we make it happen, we make it happen. Things like that are really important because repetition really puts things in people's brain. It's like Allen Iverson said, practice, what you talking about, practice? Yeah, practice. You need to keep practicing things. You need to keep repeating things. You need to keep doing what you're doing and don't stop. Repetition takes time, and that's what I talked about before, is patience. You need to be patient. And when you're creating content, you want to create content that's easy for people to remember and you can repeat it to them constantly. So repetition to me is very important when I'm pushing content. What motivates me? I could tell you 10 things that motivate me. Food, my mom, my dad, school. Let's see what else. My dog, my brother, my sister. There's so many people in this world that motivate me, and there's also people on the internet that motivate me. People always ask me, who motivates you? And my motivation comes from so many different places. It can come from a person. It can come from an animal. It can come from a picture that I see on the screen of a TV for like a split second. It could be the nature when I go out on a hike and I see something. There's so many things that motivate me and inspire me and give me ideas for the content that I build.